if you haven't done, I guess, any work around emotional intelligence with money, it can be very hard to separate what is a lack of knowledge about strategy and what is actually just a mindset block or something in your mind which actually keeps you from executing the strategy.
We're excited about the first part of our mini series with Miriam. So today it's all about money mindset. It's something that I love to talk about, and I want to hear more. And I hope that all of you are going to find value in it. And if you have questions, please leave a comment. So Miriam, what are you going to talk about today?
Let's jump in. Thank you for having me, Chris. Chris and I talked about doing a little series for you to help you get started with your financial strategy. We're going to do a 3-part series, and the first part of this is all about money mindset. And the reason that we always have to start with the money mindset is actually to do with something that I guess some people would know, but there's actually 2 parts of being successful financially, and you can kind of divide it into money EQ and money IQ. So money EQ is all about what we would maybe say is emotional intelligence around money. So you might have heard about like affirmations or beliefs that you have in your mind, your way of thinking about money. And this is all part of your emotional intelligence around money. It also includes sort of a lot of our fears about money, what we think money means for us. And then we have money IQ, which is also, for example, typically men are very focused on money IQ, which is a lot about the kind of technical or logical, I guess, rules. You could say there's kind of universal rules about how money flows. And that is really more kind of technical knowledge. So you do actually need both of these. So you need to have emotional intelligence around money, and you also do need, like, obviously to understand something about how money flows and how you can use that to actually grow your business. But what I do find, like if you start to work with people, is that if you haven't done, I guess, any work around emotional intelligence with money, it can be very hard to separate what is a lack of knowledge about strategy and what is actually just a mindset block or something in your mind which actually keeps you from executing the strategy. Yeah. So like an easy way to explain this for me sometimes is about like working out, because most people are familiar. And for example, you go on the internet and everyone's like, you know, eat more vegetables and go to the gym, right? Like some combination of that. And that's what that's more similar to like money IQ, which is the strategy, like what actions to take. But the reason that someone wouldn't actually just start showing up and the next day start eating different foods is all about the emotions that are inside you, right? That's the money EQ. That's why tomorrow you don't wake up and change everything about how you behave with money. So it's really important to start with what's inside your mind. And it's less about like what should I say? You don't need to change everything that's inside of your mind to start becoming successful with money. This isn't like, I think some people think, for example, even when they see like money affirmations or like, oh my God, I don't believe that I could have $1 million tomorrow. You know, you don't have to wake up tomorrow and believe you can have $1 million before something changes for you. It's actually like the same thing with working out. The actual transition is actually going to happen gradually over time. Step by step. So you probably need to start taking steps that are changing your actions before the belief has actually changed in your mind. Yeah. So it's something that Chris, she's not, because we started to work together. It's like, I think the first time, for example, I said something to Chris, like, okay, that what you're saying to me is maybe coming from a place of scarcity. You understand that, but it's not like the next second you're like, oh, now I don't have that scarcity feeling anymore.
Yeah, it's true, because I think it's a behavior that's learned. So like without being conscious of thinking like that, you just when I talk to you about it, I'm like, oh, that's totally scarcity mindset. It's not done.
Yeah. And it's more like I see with, like, we've been working together for a little bit now. I already see that as it comes out of your mouth, now you're like, oh, you see it yourself. What is kind of speaking out of scarcity. But the thing that I admire about Chris is she sees it, but she still listens and does what she needs to do. And that's where the actual shift will happen, is that you start to see what is there, and it's not like it disappears, but you still take an action that's going to lead you to the place that you need to go. So
I think being aware of it really helps. You're aware of
Exactly.
it, and then you try to correct your behavior. But I've never heard so much about my money mindset that in the past few months, and I've been, you've told me a lot about mindset, but I've also read other things about money mindset, and it's crazy how money blocks can really derail your progress. Because you just think you can't, or it's too hard, or you're never going to get there. But really, it sounds like women are more emotional than men, and it's really interesting. It's
let's just say the thing that, for example, from scientific research, is that women are more risk adverse. Because we're the caretakers, so we're the ones who would always take care of older people, of like children, right? So we have a natural tendency to be like less willing to take risks that might hurt someone we are protecting.
That's
from an evolutionary standpoint. So it is generally, women have like a stronger sense of wanting to avoid like risk. But the thing is that a lot of the risks that we face today are psychological. So our mind still operates as if we are, like back in the day where, I don't know, like if food runs out, we are in trouble, right? But a lot of the things that we feel like are really big risks today they feel bigger than they actually are. So for example, being stressed about using $10 is like, the $10 won't make you bankrupt, but the feeling of spending it is like, oh my God, I'm losing money, I'm going to be in trouble. So that's sort of the thing about scarcity, is that it's not necessarily rational in the proportion of what you're risking. It makes you feel that every single dollar that you spend is going to make you broke.
But even though actually, as solopreneurs, so this is an example I can relate to, but I think a lot of interior designers or others who started their own business, they start doing everything by themselves, because it's how you start a business, you just do all of it. But then there comes a time where you just need to, you've got to get help, but it's really hard to, there are a lot of blocks that, you just think to yourself, oh, but I know how to do it, so I might as well do it myself instead of spending money on someone else.
So this part is also, so that's why I also focus a lot on the fact that you do need money IQ and money EQ, because some things people think are about mindset that actually are not. So in the same way that people could think something is about IQ, when it's actually about EQ, some people think something that's EQ is IQ. And that's one of the harder things to teach, which is also why, like, for example, working, like when I work with people about like strategy, it isn't, because in order to know which one it is a lot about using a kind of checklist to see, so is this aligned, what I'm using money on, is this aligned with my goal in the business? Have I done an evaluation of what results I expect for the money that I'm spending? Am I going to be able to measure the performance of like what I've spent the money on? So that is really more like money IQ. And you do need to ask yourself those questions, because once you answer those questions, if all the answers are yes, and you still don't want to do it, it's a mindset. But if the answers are no, it might be that actually you don't have a good process for money IQ. And that's just your brain telling you, hey, you don't know what this money is going to deliver for you. This might not be a good use of your resources. So that's actually not a mindset block, because you don't want to just start throwing money at everything. You know what I mean? Because of exactly this. It's kind of tricky to know if it's scarcity or if it's actually just your brain saying, hey, you need to develop some more skills here. And as you go along, you will get better at like quickly knowing if is it an issue with your process, or is it something where your mindset, you got to grow your mindset. So I love all the things that you said now, because it is also, the thing is that some people, I guess probably with your clients, it is more to do with also that a lot of people, you've only ever learned to be an employee, which is exactly what you're saying. It's, you learn how to do tasks well yourself. And it is also a different skill to pay or to be a manager of other people and to control the quality of what they deliver for you.
Yeah.
And that is also mindset. It's hard. It is actually
hard to let
when
go.
you do it yourself, you have control over the quality, you know, right? Like you have a lot more control. When you outsource that task to someone else, you're going to have to be the one who tells someone, hey, this isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like all of those things, your ability to check, control, monitor other people, you take a step away and you have to control from like remote, you know.
And actually, you know, the clients, I realized that another thing that like prevents them from outsourcing is that they think it's going to be more work to brief someone else about what they need rather than just, you know, doing it themselves.
And this is the thing, is that initially, it's also why it is challenging to scale a business, is that initially it is going to be, if you haven't been a manager of other people at the beginning, you might not be a great manager.
Yeah.
It might take you more time initially. So those things that your mind are saying are true, but you can't get to the next level unless you do it. And so that's why it's a growth process, both like financially, of letting go of money, letting go of control. Like it requires, like your mindset does need to shift. Otherwise you'll stay in the same pattern, you know, which is okay, because some people also don't want to scale their business. But if you do have this dream of one day not being the only employee in your business, then these are things that, you know, the more you embrace them, the more that you're willing to grow as a person, the more things that are possible for you, you know, because it is really about allowing yourself to also be bad at things before you are good.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it is painful. I tell you, I'm going through this. I started my own business. You know, I went from having like a senior role in a bank where I had the corner office. I was already getting 10K at least a month. And I went, you know, I had like 0 followers and 0 clients. And am I good at social media? No. But
it takes practice. And consistency.
Yeah. And you have to have the mindset that I'm more hungry to learn than I am to have immediate results.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see that when you speak to a finance mentor, it's not all about strategy. It really has, the mindset is a really big part of it.
Yeah. Well, the thing, this is what I'm saying, is that a lot of time the strategy is important. So that's just the plan that, you know, you agree, for example, with your finance mentor. This is the plan that's going to get us to this point. Yeah. Like you and I, we have a plan and we are clear together on what the goal is, and we know sort of what the steps, but the actual taking the steps to do it, it's mental. Yeah. And you know, because you can share this with everyone, is that, you know, it sounds on paper very simple and easy to do, but when you are there with all the thoughts in your mind and all the things that are coming up for you, it's hard. So absolutely. And that's exactly why it's so important to start by exploring your mindset, to become aware of those things. So I mean, I have on my Instagram, I've made like a little money personality quiz. This is just also one step that you can take to try to just become more self-aware. Like you mentioned, reading books, following people on Instagram who are talking about money mindset. All of these things can just help develop your awareness so that when you are ready to go for those next steps, you have some tools that you can use so that you don't get stuck, so that you can see like, okay, I hear you telling me to just keep doing everything myself, but I'm gonna I know that next month I will be exactly where I am today if I keep listening to you, so I'm gonna do something else, you know.
And actually, I think people should go check out your money personality quiz, because I actually love doing it. And I think it's brilliant that you added that, because it really shows you where you stand. So, but yeah, so on the next episode, next part, what are we gonna talk about?
Yeah, so on the next episode, I just thought we can talk a little bit about the more money IQ. So if you just want to kind of understand, what do I actually do? I've done some work here. I'm getting more aware about the mindset. What do I actually do in my business? I'm going to talk a little bit about what are the first steps, what I would do, for example, with a client when I first meet them, what I did with Chris, about how we look at like where you are and what are the steps that we take to actually create a financial strategy for you.
Sounds great. I love talking about money mindset. So I hope all of you are gonna find value in what Miriam just explained. And if you have questions for her, you can go send her a message on her Instagram that I will link below, and or also send me a message, and I will put you in touch. So yeah, looking forward to the
Yeah,
next episode. Thank you,
thanks for
Miriam.
having me, Chris.